Hey, welcome back to the Christian Moms Cafe. I'm so glad you're here, and I am Demetria, and this is our little corner of the internet where we gather as Christian moms to talk about faith and family and motherhood and identity and all of the beautiful, messy seasons of life that shape us into who we're becoming. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found us. Pull up a chair and grab your coffee and your tea, whatever you've got with you today, because we're going to have a real conversation. And if you've been with me for a while, you already know that this podcast has been through a beautiful transition of its own. It was originally the Christian Homeschool Moms Podcast, and for 14 years, I had conversations with moms specifically around homeschooling, raising children, education, faith, all the everyday realities of being a homeschool mom, and that was 14 years. And what I've realized over the course of time is that while homeschooling was the common thread that brought so many of us together, the deeper conversations were always bigger than homeschooling. We were talking about identity and purpose and marriage and motherhood. We talked about faith and about burnout. We still talk about burnout today. We talked about dreams and what God is actually doing in our hearts in every season of our life. And so now that I'm personally transitioning out of my homeschool season, I've realized something really important, that there are so many moms other than me that are right here with me. Moms whose children are growing up, moms whose homes look different than they did 10 years ago, moms asking the question, Lord, what's next for me? And I do believe that this season is not just about what we're leaving behind. It's about who God is inviting us to become. So before we dive in today, I also want to say I hope that you enjoyed my last episode with Sharon Eddings. Her story was such an encouragement, and I do hope that her journey reminded you that God can use every single part of your story, every chapter, every transition, every unexpected turn, the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups and downs, everything. And He will use that to bring purpose and encouragement to someone else in your life. And today's episode is especially close to my heart because this conversation we're about to have really aligns with the season of life that I'm in right now, and maybe some of you too. So a few weeks ago, I watched my daughter walk across that stage. You guys, she graduated high school. I'm so happy, and I'm so proud of her. And she is now officially a high school graduate. At the end of this summer, she'll be heading off to college. And if you're a mom who has walked through this season, you already know that there's something about watching your child step into their next chapter. And it makes you look back at your own journey, and you want to celebrate with your kids. You want to be proud of them. And then somewhere in those quiet moments, you realize, wait a minute, something is changing for me too. And that's what I want to talk about today. Who are you when homeschooling ends? Who are you when the season you poured your whole heart into comes to a close? So let's talk about it. And before we do, just know that this is also a video that I have on YouTube right now. So a few weeks ago, I talked about this very topic. I created a video just about this, and it's similar to what I'm going to share today on the podcast. But just so you know, there's different ways you can be encouraged by this topic. So I want to start by just being really honest with you, because I think honesty is the only way that this conversation actually helps anyone. So for over 10 years, and we're talking more like 17 years, homeschooling was not just something I did, it was who I was. And if you've homeschooled for any length of time, you understand this completely, that homeschooling is not just a schedule. It's not just curriculum. It's not just a choice about education. It becomes your rhythm. It shapes your days. It shapes your conversations. It shapes your friendships and the way you see yourself. Think about how many roles got folded into that one phrase, homeschool mom. You know, you become the teacher, the planner, the encourager, the curriculum researcher, the person who knows exactly where everyone is academically and emotionally at every moment without anyone having to ask, right? That's not a small feat. It's a full identity that you built brick by brick, year after year. And for me, homeschooling was also deeply connected to my faith. As someone who has been an educator for many years, including teaching piano, working with students, working in the classrooms and schools, This was not just a random path that I fell into. It did feel like a calling for me, and it felt like an assignment that God gave me for a specific season, and I loved it. I really did. It wasn't easy, but I did love it. And there was something incredibly sacred about being the person who got to witness my children learn, being there for those light bulb moments, watching their confidence grow in real time, right in front of me at my own kitchen table in my own backyard, creating a home environment centered around learning and curiosity instead of just getting through a checklist. And I'm grateful for those years. I want that to be clear before I say what comes next, because what comes next is not a complaint about homeschooling. It's just an observation about what happens when something good comes to an end. Because seasons do change, and sometimes the hardest transitions are not the painful ones. Sometimes the hardest transitions are the beautiful ones, because you're not leaving something bad, you're leaving something good. And there's a strange kind of disorientation in all of that, one that we don't always have the language for. So there came a point where I had to be honest with myself that this season was indeed ending. And honestly, that realization brought up a lot of emotions that I didn't expect. Because when you've given over a decade or more to something, when you have built your entire life, adult life or parenting life around a role, when you have poured your energy and your creativity, your love into something, there's grief when it changes. Even when you know it's right for you and it's good for you, even when you prayed for it, even when you're proud of the outcome, there's still grief. And I think we don't talk enough about the grief of a good ending. We've been trained culturally and even in our churches sometimes to associate grief only with loss that hurts, like an illness or death or broken relationships and things that are obviously bad. But that's an incomplete picture of grief, because sometimes grief comes precisely because something was beautiful. You can grieve a season that was exactly what God intended it to be. You can miss something and still be grateful that it ended. You can celebrate the next chapter and still honor the previous one. So both things can be true at the same time, and learning to hold both at once is part of growing up spiritually. And I had to give myself permission to sit with that tension and to pray about it instead of rushing past it, to journal about it instead of pretending, oh, I'm fine. So I tend to like to kind of blow over things sometimes, and I have to take time to actually grieve and to ask God directly, Lord, who am I in this next season? And this is not rhetorical. This is actually me asking God and actually waiting for an answer from him. And this is where I feel like God really began to shift my perspective. And it's also the part I most want you to walk away with today, because I realized something uncomfortable. It's that I had connected my identity to my assignment for many, many years. And it's really difficult to disconnect the two. And maybe you've done that as well. Maybe you've said, I'm a homeschool mom, or I'm a teacher, or I'm a caregiver. I'm the one everyone depends on. And those things may be true. They are beautiful parts of your story, but they are not the whole story. Even now, I've had to redirect the way I present myself and restructure that. And so instead of presenting myself as I'm a veteran homeschool mom or I'm a former homeschool mom, I'm learning to give myself new labels that don't include the roles that I played. I felt like God was reminding me and almost correcting me. Hey, I didn't just call you to homeschool. I called you to me. And see, that changed everything for me, because homeschooling was the assignment for that season, but it was never the totality of who I am. And neither is your current season the totality of who you are, because your identity is not in what you do. Your identity is rooted in who God created you to be. And that's not just a comforting phrase. It's a practical truth with real implications. It means the gifts that you developed are still there after the assignment ends. Those experiences that you gained while you homeschooled, they're still there. The wisdom you picked up in the trenches of daily life is still there. The woman you became while doing that assignment is still there, fully intact, even when the assignment itself is gone. God doesn't waste seasons. He uses them to prepare us for whatever comes next. Even when we can't see what that next thing is. And so this is where I think so many moms listening right now can relate, even if your situation looks nothing like mine on the surface. Maybe your transition doesn't look like mine at all. Maybe you're not ending homeschooling right now. Or maybe you're becoming an empty nester, such as myself. Or maybe you're changing careers after years at home. Maybe you're stepping into something new after years of pouring into everyone else around you. Maybe you're sitting in that uncomfortable middle place where the old thing is gone, but the new thing hasn't fully appeared yet. And that gray area where you don't know where you fit, you don't know which direction you're going in yet, can feel really disconcerting and even painful. That place, it can feel really strange to live in because we like certainty. We like knowing what comes next before we agree to let go of what's behind us. But sometimes God does his deepest work in the in-between, not before it and not after it, but right there in the uncertain middle while we're still waiting for clarity. And I'll be more specific with you because I think specifics are more useful than generalities. So I recently had a birthday and I turned 49 years old. Okay, so I will be 50 in a year. I can't believe it, but here I am. And I'm also a piano teacher. I've also built a podcast agency and I've been creating content for years. So we're talking 2 decades. I've served my family and my community in ways that I didn't always have a title attached to. And I'm still realizing that there's still so much more that God has for me. There's still growth ahead. There's so much more I can do. And there's still purpose ahead for me. There's still becoming ahead for me. So I don't for 1 second think that my life is over because I no longer homeschool. And maybe that's what this next chapter is really about for me and for you. Not becoming someone completely different, not starting over from zero, but becoming more fully who God created you to be all along. And sometimes that does mean starting new projects, doing new things, trying your hands at different things to see if you're in that gray area where you're kind of feeling stuck and not sure which direction to go in, that you have the freedom to try things until something fits, try on shoes until you find the ones that actually fit you. So if you're in a transition season right now, any kind of transition, homeschooling related or not, just a transition, I want to speak directly to you right now that you are not behind, you are not forgotten, you're not finished. The ending of one chapter does not mean that your story's over. Because maybe God is creating space in your life right now because there is something new he wants to reveal. And that space can't open up until something else moves out of the way first. Maybe he's inviting you to rediscover parts of yourself that got quiet while you were busy caring for everyone else around you. Maybe this is the exact season where you finally ask out loud, Lord, who are you calling me to become now? Not a year ago, 5 years ago, right now. And I want you to know that that question is not selfish. It's not self-centered. It's not a betrayal of all the years that you spent serving your family. I think it's stewardship. Your life matters and your gifts matter. Your dreams matter. The woman you're becoming matters every bit as much as the children that you raised and the household that you ran. So my prayer is that the Lord will provide you the grace you need to walk through every season of your life, including this one, whatever that season happens to be for you. And throughout the time that you've poured out your life and you've nurtured and served and given everything you have, that you will know that everything God created you to be will happen for you, that it will come to pass and that you'll walk in your purpose, that your identity is found in God. And I pray that he will help you to release what is meant to be released and embrace what you're supposed to embrace, and that you'll have courage for your next chapter. And also that if you're grieving a season right now that's ending, that you'll be reminded of the story God is writing for your life. It's unique, it's different than anyone else's, and that you can sit back and relax and know that God has his best interest for you, loves you very dearly, and is writing your chapter very perfectly. So I want to thank you for spending these few moments with me today at Christian Moms Cafe. And I hope that this conversation encouraged you, especially if you're standing in a season of transition. And if you're a mom who has walked through a major life change, whether that is homeschooling ending or launching kids into adulthood, changing your career, or stepping into a completely new chapter, I would love to hear your story. What season are you leaving behind right now? And what do you sense that God is doing next in your life? Please share it with me, because I truly believe we need each other in these seasons. And if you'd like to watch the video version of this conversation, that episode originally came from a YouTube video I shared a while back. So you can find that link here in the show notes. And I would love to chat with you over on the YouTube channel. That is where I'm hoping to build out a bit of a community at some point. So feel free to hop over there and leave your comments. So also, if today's episode encouraged you, please share this episode with another mom who may need this reminder, because all of our stories matter and our seasons matter, and God is not finished with us yet. So until next time, my friend, take a breath. Pour yourself something warm or cool, and I'll meet you back here at Christian Moms Cafe, where every mom belongs and every story matters.